agricultural ecology is environmental factors affecting agricultural production. The following are the factors affecting agricultural production. It is being grouped into three. We have the climatic factor, we have the biotic factors, and then the Edaphic factors. The first one will now be treating it one after the other. That is, now we'll be going into climatic factors and agricultural production. Climate is defined as the average condition of weather in a place, taken over a long period of time. Say, let's just say the average of 35 years. Each climatic factor has its own influence on agriculture. This is evidenced by the distribution of vegetation and crops in the climatic zones, because some crops thrive or grow in one climate but do not grow in another. That is, it is possible to find some crops in one region due to the climatic condition of that region, and find another crop in another region based on the climatic condition. Just like now, there is this type of apple that we usually eat, that is the apple that, the green and the red apple, the climatic condition in Nigeria here doesn't favor it, whereas it favors it in South Africa. And just like the grape and then the strawberries, we are not cultivating them in Nigeria because the climatic condition in Nigeria does not favor them. So the following are factors or elements of climate, namely we have temperature, we have sunlight, we have rainfall, we have humidity, and then wind. We'll not be taking it one after the other. The first one is temperature. Temperature is defined as a measure of the heat energy which a body contains, and can also be defined as a degree of hotness or coldness of a place at a point in time. Nigeria is characterized by high temperature because it lies in a tropical belt. It has been recorded that the daily temperature range for Nigeria is between 21 degrees centigrade and 32 degrees centigrade, except during Harmattan period. It has also been observed that the temperature actually differs from the coastal areas to the inner part of the country, that is the hinterlands in the country. And it has also been observed that tropical crops grow better at temperatures ranging between 18 degrees centigrade and 32 degrees centigrade. Tropical breeds of livestock are adapted to high temperature in Nigeria, while the imported temperate breed do not adapt well in Nigeria. If you bring maybe a polar bear from Canada, within the shortest period of time, it's going to die in Nigeria. Why? Because of the fur it has developed to adapt to the cold situation in Canada. So bringing it here, the temperature within its body will be too high for it to survive. So likewise, if you pick maybe a chicken in Nigeria that survives optimally in Nigeria, and you take it maybe a laying bed, a table egg laying bed in Nigeria, you now take it to maybe Canada, a temperate region, it will produce egg for you. You know why? Because the temperature over there is too low for it to produce optimally. And that's the reason why temperature affects agricultural production. Some areas are better than others. Some areas are hotter than others, and some plants and animals tolerate it more than others. Just like in the southern part of Nigeria, temperature is relatively low compared to what is obtained in the northern part of Nigeria. This tolerance of heat or cold determines which plant or animal thrives optimally in a place, and hence the use to which such land can be put with regard to crop and livestock production. Just like now, in the south here, we actually produce table eggs, while in the corners where the temperature is very high, production of table eggs, that is the egg we eat, it is not common. So what usually happens is that eggs being produced in the south or around the Jaws or Plateau is being taken to the north for consumption, while crops or animals like goats that thrive better are being brought to the southern part of the country for consumption. Now, the second one we'll be looking at here is sunlight. That is, we are talking about the elements of climate that affect agricultural production. The major influence of sunlight on crops is its effects in supplying energy for photosynthesis. Sunlight actually, its major effect is to supply energy or light for photosynthesis. If you look at the equation that we are having there, we have a carbon dioxide and then water. In the presence of chlorophyll and what? Sunlight, before we can have our carbohydrates and then oxygen being produced. There are some plants which can wholly flower, that is, produce their flower during longer hours of the day. That is 13 to 15 hours of sunlight, e.g. millet, sorghum. These are called long day plants. That is, these are plants that thrive and then produce more during the longer hours of the day. These are called longer day plants, while there are other which flowers during the short hours of a day length, such as 8 to 10 hours, e.g. cocoa, oil palm. These are called short day plants. This response of plants and animals to day length is called photoperiodism. There are seasonal variation in day length. Also, day length hours vary from place to place. This variation in day length influences the distribution of different crops in different ecological zones, and hence influences the use to which the land in different places is being put. There are some plants which thrive better under very bright and direct sunshine, while there are others like cocoa which require less direct sunshine. That is, if you look at millet, the millet being produced in the north, that one can adapt and then thrive well where there is direct sunlight. Unlike cocoa and oil palm in the south, that requires less direct sunlight. Thus, the land in areas which have overcast weather most of the time is very suitable for cocoa production. Now we'll be looking at rainfall, which is a third element of climate that affects agricultural production. This is the most important climatic factor that influences agriculture in the tropics. The amount of rainfall and its distribution throughout the year are the most important factors that determine the type of crops to be grown and thus the usefulness of the land in a particular region. For example, in areas with low rainfall, the growing season for crops is usually short. That is, just like what we have in the north, where we have shorter period of rainfall. The another part where only annual, in areas that have shorter rainfall, annual food crops such as sorghum, millet, maize, groundnuts are grown. While in the southern Nigeria, where the rainfall is high and then span through a longer period of time, crops, both annual crops and perennial crops such as cocoa, oil palm, kola nuts, that's a cash crop, and a food crop like maize, cassava, sorghum or millet can be cultivated. Now we're looking at humidity, which is the fourth a climatic element that we're looking at that affects agriculture. Humidity is the amount of moisture in the atmosphere. Atmospheric humidity varies with the amount of seasonal distribution of rainfall. The relative humidity is high in southern Nigeria and low in the northern Nigeria, due to the fact that the amount of rainfall in the southern Nigeria is high and the amount of rainfall in northern Nigeria is low. This high humidity in south favors the development and the spread of fungal and bacterial diseases and molds of crop, while in storage, that is, here in the southern part of the country, if you are to store anything without controlling the humidity, it will affect and then aid the growth of of fungal and bacterial diseases. Now we'll be looking at the fifth element, which is wind. Wind affects agricultural production because it causes sheet erosion. Wind erosion is very common in the northern part of the country where the surface soil is dry and is not protected by vegetation. The wind carries away the topsoil, which is very rich in organic matter, thereby reducing the fertility of such soil. Some particles carried by the wind also perforate leaves, thereby reducing the leaf area. And once the leaf area is being reduced, then the photosynthesis also is being altered. Wind can, however, be advantageous in aiding pollination, e.g. in rice, and then e.g. in rice. That is, it can, as it has its negative side, it has its positive side. It can either aid erosion of the topsoil, which is essential, which is rich in nutrient and essential for plants' optimal growth. It can also, it has its own advantageous side also. That is, it has its positive side where it is pollination. Now, we'll now be going to the second aspect, which is the biotic factors and agricultural production. The biotic factor, which is also referred to as the biological factors affecting agricultural production, include predators, pests, parasites, micro-organisms, and diseases. Now we'll be looking at the first one, which is parasites. A parasite is a living organism which establishes a physiological association with the tissue of another organism called the host. Parasites usually derive their food from the